Welcome back. Today we're practicing perspective by creating 3D letters. Start with a horizon line and a vanishing point in the center of your line. Then, towards the bottom of your paper, I want you to draw a curvy line that is pointing downwards, kind of like a really shallow rainbow. This is going to be a guideline for your letters, so your letters will be spaced out, kind of curvy. Choose a word that is positive and uplifting to write on your sketchbook page. I chose the word love. I'm writing my letters out with just capital letters using straight lines. And then I'm going to make these letters into a more block letter by using a straight edge and outlining around the shape of the lines that I drew. I'm trying to use a straight edge whenever possible, so that way I can keep my lines neat. For curvy letters like O's, you might want to freehand these so they don't look too blocky. Once you have your letters drawn out the way you'd like, erase away lines you don't need to see around and inside the letters. Let's start using one-point perspective to make our letters three-dimensional. You're going to start by observing where the corners of each of your letters are, going from left to right. So I'm going to be connecting the corners of the L to the vanishing point that I drew on my horizon line. Very lightly, I'm drawing my orthogonal lines, connecting my letter to the vanishing point. Remember, these lines are here as a system for you in order to create a three-dimensional effect with your flat letter shape. Each of the visible corners or edges of the letter L need to connect back to the vanishing point. If a letter is connecting into another letter, you don't have to extend your line too far past it or through it. In order to give your letter depth, we need to cut your letter off using vertical lines and straight edges. Go back to the main line of your letter and then cut off to create the depth. You're going to do this for the sides and tops of your letter. Anything that needs to be visible to us needs a line to help distinguish the depth of the letter. It's really important to make sure that these lines are consistent with the original letter L that you drew. Erase away the orthogonal lines after you are done creating your letter's depth. For curvy letters, it's a good idea to put your straight edge on the vanishing point and then slowly rotate your straight edge until it meets the edge of the letter. This will show you where you need to create your edge for a curve. Then you have to freehand your curve. So I like to trace my letter O curve and then trace it again a little bit farther away. Remember, you're keeping your lines that you're drawing to cut off your letters contained within the orthogonal lines connecting it to the vanishing point. I'm going to repeat this process for each of the letters in the word love. When you're done, you can add an outline. When you outline something in perspective, use a straight edge whenever possible. You just spent so much time creating really nice straight lines. Don't let outlining become too sloppy. I'm using a thicker point Sharpie marker, but I would recommend using a finer point Sharpie if you have access to one. This is all that I had in my house at this point. When you're done with your Sharpie work, you can erase away any other visible lines and pencil lines. What really helps to make your letters look more three-dimensional is adding shading. With your colored pencils, if you have access to them, shade the front of your letters with a really hard pressure to create a darker value of color. Remaining sides need to be a contrasting value to the front letter color, which should be the darkest. So I'm creating a lighter gradation on the inside of the letters. Each of these panels should be slightly different value from each other to create more three-dimensional contrast. You always want to be able to see each side of the letter that you just drew using perspective. You can select a variety of different colors for coloring in your word, or you can choose to stick with one color. That is your choice. If you do not have access to colored pencils, then you can shade with a regular graphite pencil and just use different values of gray.